Hello everyone, this is Bruce from Pro Home Service. As you know, I'm the home inspector. Today we have introduced Carl, the early bird termite company, to want to explain to you what termites about, how to do the protections. So this is Carl.
Hey, good morning everybody. Termites. We are in the second highest population of termites in the United States here in Georgia. Florida's number 1. California's number 3, and we're number 2. Every acre of land we have around in these parts, especially the south side of Atlanta, but all of Georgia has 4 to 12 colonies per acre of land. And there's a 250,000 to 1.5 million termites per colony, and the range of a termite colony is around 150 feet from a house or from any place that they're eating, and 30 feet underground. So termites could be eating this desk or this wall here and be 150 feet in any direction and 30 feet underground and be coming back and forth, doing damage. They say that termites do over $7 billion of damage in the United States every year, and that's a lot. And so it's very important for homeowners to have good termite control.
So in Georgia, you say it's the second largest termite population compared to all the United States.
That's right.
So just specifically in Georgia, because I know we are in the northern part of Georgia. Are there any difference between northern part, southern part, different termites?
No, we're in the hotbed right here. So Atlanta, South Atlanta, North Atlanta, Alpharetta, all these areas are a hotbed of termites, and there's tons of damage that can occur in a home without you even knowing it.
So there's no difference between residential and commercial. Is there any difference compared to the treatment-wise? What kind of treatments do we have, so to speak, for the termite protection?
Well, there's several different kinds of treatments, but in general, there's only 2 that companies will offer, and that have any kind of decent warranty that comes with them. One is called a bait some companies offer a bait system only. I do not recommend that. Other companies will offer a bait with a liquid backfill, and we can talk about that in a second. And then other companies will do a full liquid treatment to the house, and then I can discuss that in a little bit too about those. Okay. One thing I'd like to, I'll tell you a quick story about how termites can affect people, homeowners, and how it can be a surprise. There's a fella that's in Sharpsburg, Georgia, and he had he had a house that he had bought, and he had built, okay? And he had a company come in and treat the ground before it was built. And he thought, okay, so I'm protected from termites. So they put a liquid down, they built the house on the chemical, and then right after the backfill was done, they put a bait system around the house. And that company, it's a big national company, that company checked the bait system every single quarter, every 3 months. They checked the system, and 7 years later, he goes to get a refinance on his home. And he calls that company, says, hey, I need a refinance on my home. They come out, or no, they don't come out. They say, hey, we're gonna be a couple weeks out. He says, well, I'm closing this Friday. I need to get out. And so anyway, he calls around. He gets me. I come out to the house. I do a full inspection of the entire house, and there's no problems. We can't see anything. It looks just like this. Everything looks fine. There's no problems. So I'm writing his letter saying that the house is free and clear of termite. But I said there is a little bit of sponginess on your windowsill. That's possibly fungal spores that you probably talk about fungus in some of your videos. But there's fungal spores, and I think that maybe that's causing the softness in your windowsill. Well, this guy is retired. He spends his days crisscross cutting his lawn. He goes to Home Depot for every little tool, and so he decided that he would go ahead and pop off the windowsill while I was there. And so he comes out and he pries off the windowsill, and termites come spilling out of the window right there. And I'm like, Mr. Capucci, that was his name. You have termites. I can't write the clear letter for your house, but that company, that big national company, they're going to have to pay for the damage that these termites have caused. So, long story short, the man calls the company. They have to come out, and at the end of the day, the damage starts here. It goes all the way down to the end of the house, across the face of the garage, about 15% down the backside of the house, 2 stories high. And that company had to write Mr. Capucci a check for $67,400 some odd dollars. And on a 7-year-old house. On a 7-year-old house that an inspector, a good inspector, you know, this was before I needed glasses even, a good inspector couldn't see any termite damage, yet he had $67,000 in damage in his house. So important to have termite control and have a good warranty.
So, for example, if I have termite protection for my house and I find there's a termite damage or a termite sign, so should I hire a contractor to open the wall, or the termite company will do this for me?
No, termite companies will not do discovery of damage on your house. So you say, I think there may be more damage here. They're not going to open the walls and do the process of discovery of the termite damage. So what a homeowner can do, if you have an honest termite inspector, he will see what he can see on the outside, but he won't do damage or create damage to find damage, right? Which makes sense. Because what if there's no damage back there? Who's going to pay for that, right? So, so what a homeowner can do is they can one, hire a good termite inspector to look for what is visible, and Early Bird Termite and Pest Control do that for free. Come out to the house, do an inspection for free, and see if there's any problems. And then, but a homeowner on their own can look for little mud tubes going up the foundation, and on drywall they can look for tiny little bits of mud. If you ever find mud on the inside of your house, on drywall or on a baseboard or in a windowsill, and if you knock it away and see a little hole behind it, then that is termites for sure, unless somebody put a piece of mud there. Mud dauber wasps, you knock that away, there's no hole behind there. But if you, ants will create mud tubes too. You knock that away, there's generally no hole that they create. Termites, they eat through the sheetrock, say, ooh, open air, we don't like this. They're subterranean, and they create a mud tube to protect that tube system. So if you knock away the mud, you see a little hole about pencil width, we'll show pictures of this, then you know you have termites.
So if I see, for example, I already found there's termites in my window. So what's next? Do I call termite company, or I hire a contractor to open everything out? And how does things work?
Just like if your house was on fire, okay? So if your house was on fire, would you call a contractor to begin fixing the damage the fire caused?
I call the fireman
You
first.
call the fireman first. And that's what you would do if the termites eating your house is like a very slow fire, and it's a fire that you can't smell and you often can't see, and so it's important to put out the fire. So you call Early Bird Termite and Pest Control, and we put out the fire if you see that. If you don't see that, you still call Early Bird Termite and Pest Control to do a preventative treatment so that you don't have a hidden fire that's hidden behind the walls that you can't see.
So, for example, if I call Early Bird to come to check my house and they found termite damage, active termite damage, do I have to quote in the same time, or how does the process go?
So if you call early bird termite and you have activity,
Yes.
okay, yeah. So real simple. I'll tell you the truth. It would be the same price if it's active or not active, because it's the same treatment to control.
Oh, same treatment.
Yes. Yeah. So you get a termite job. It's the same treatment whether you have termites actively eating or not.
I see some, like in the West Coast, like in California, sometimes they use the plastic wrap the whole house. You use like kind of like a smoke or something to kill the termite. Do we do this in Georgia?
Well, only on the coast of Georgia. I used to, those are called fumigations. And I used to sell termite control for Termites in California. So I've actually worked and ran branches for Termites up and down California. And fumigations on the coast are very, very common. And the reason for that they are treating drywood termites. Drywood termites or powder post beetle, but generally it's for drywood termites. The difference between drywood termites and subterranean termites is that subterranean termites come from the ground into the house. Drywood termites fly into the attic, maybe, or into the house. And then the queen is pregnant, she chews into the wood a little bit and starts laying eggs, and then they just start eating the wood where they lay. So you could treat the ground, and they're in the attic eating the wood. So the only way to kill that kind of termite is to put a tent over the house and then put in a gas. Usually it's Viking gas. I haven't done them for a while, but it's a gas, and that seeps through all the pores of all the wood. But in Georgia, especially this part of Georgia, you're not going to need that. No drywood termite. I've been here in Georgia for 18 years, and I have not seen one drywood termite, except for on the coast.
Okay. I heard there's a type of termite called Formosa termite. It's like eating more faster, and once you have that, you need to report to the county.
It's helpful to do so because they track Formosan termites, and every year there's more Formosan termites. They're like armadillo. You know what armadillo is? They're in the old days in Georgia here. All the roadkill out in the road was possum. That's all we had is possum, and 20 years later, now predominantly we have armadillo in the road because they've migrated from Florida and this area south. The same with Formosan termites. They didn't used to be here 20, 30 years ago, and now they're here, and they grow every year more. They do 5 times as much damage, 5 times as fast. And half the companies out there in their termite warranties exclude Formosan termites.
Oh, exclude?
Yes, so you want to make sure that you have a good warranty that doesn't exclude Formosan termites, that covers them. About half of them do not cover them, so you want them covered. You don't want to be here 20 years from now, have your house eaten down, and have the company say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, that termite is the Formosan subterranean termite. We only cover eastern subterranean termites. That's Formosan, so you can pay your own $67,000." So you want that covered.
Sounds like also for roaches, right? Like the German roaches, some of the company, the pest control is not covered. Is this a separate treatment?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, if we want to talk about pest control, early bird covers all the pests, or most. I mean, bed bugs is separate, snakes separate, but other than that, roaches, spiders, ants, fleas, ticks, mice, rats, bees, wasps, all the roaches, earwigs, spiders, the whole bit, are all covered, and you're not going to hear, "Oh, I'm sorry, there's those fleas, they're not covered under this pest control."
So termite treatment are different from the pest control treatment.
Our pest control is very inexpensive, $65 a quarter, unlimited free reservice, complete satisfaction guarantee. Termite control is different. Termite control is a different kind of treatment. It's a more intensive treatment, and it involves digging in the ground, and it involves drilling sometimes, and sometimes it involves putting a bait system around the house. Pest control is just using different techniques, spraying, using a rig to spray the house, using baits, using glue boards, traps. There's a bunch of stuff we can do. Dust. We can use a lot of things, but that's just to kill the bugs. And that's kind of a luxury. Termite control is not so much a luxury. Termite control is very important for your investment. Pest control is just so you don't have icky things crawling around.
Thank
That's
you very
right.
much.
That's right.